Yes. Yes. So you are able to see the board, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll start our discussion. So last class, we have started this spectral element also. Okay. But here, you see, if you type in Google, say like spectral element method, or if you see, there are textbooks are there, which say spectral element method. But there are two versions are there. Okay, one is a spectral element method. It's like and there is a lot of confusion is there. One is you solve these equations of motion and all other things in frequency domain. Okay, so this is one type of spectral element method, so which is widely used in aerospace engineering and other kinds of things. Okay, so it is just like your finite element only, but all the time derivatives, so they are converted into frequency domain. So there you solve and then you do this FEM. So that is one type of spectral element method is there. Okay, but the spectral element method, one method what we are going to discuss is essentially a higher order FEM only. Okay, but here like last class we have seen, so there are very the important things are there. So now in our spectral elements, say, okay, so the thing, its starting point is weak form equations only. So everything is same as FEM. Okay, so exactly same to same as the finite element method itself. But the most important, what was the difference we observed like last class? What was the differences we observed compared to finite elements? So last class we said, right, what was the important things you observed in spectral element? What are some new things which we do, apart in, not which we don't do in FEM, but here we do it. And what are some advantages also we discussed? What is the most important step here?
So FEM gives more accurate results compared to a spectral element method.
No, that is fine. I am talking about in the steps, say, okay. Now which step is different from FEM? That's all, what I am asking.
We are using JLL quadrature method.
So that is the most important thing you followed, right? The integration scheme is different. Okay. So in a ordinary FEM, we use Gaussian quadrature. So the Gauss points are different. GLL points are different. Now, what's the difference between Gauss and Gauss quadrature and GLL? No. Of course, the points are different. Okay, but what is the most important thing? No.
Endpoints are included.
So endpoints are the included. Okay. So -1 you followed, right? So they are included here, but whereas in ordinary Gaussian quadrature, say no endpoints essentially. Okay, so because of since you have included the endpoints, say, so generally in quadrature rules, what to do is the weight. Okay, that is the weight of the the value, that and then the Gauss points, say. So these two are treated as unknowns actual. Okay, so if there are two Gauss points, say, so then we have four unknowns will be there, the where that Gauss point is located and what will be its amplitude also. Okay, so both of them will be treated as the unknowns itself. So we'll be having 2n unknowns, say. So generally we say that the accuracy is Gaussian quadrature is exact. Okay, for polynomials 2n minus 1 we say. Now in GLL, what is accuracy? What is the level of accuracy if n is order of the polynomial, or n is the number of GLL points, say, how much is its accuracy? It is exact for what order?
2n minus 3.
2n
Why,
minus 3.
why that 3 comes? So 2n minus 1 is there. So we add -1 because we are fixing these points actually. So there are no more unknowns. Okay. So in GLL quadrature, what happens is, 2 points are already, you followed it, fixed actual. So that's why, its accuracy, it is not exact. Okay. For polynomials, more than 2n minus 3 set, then you have, some kind of errors which will crop into this integration rules. Okay. So this is the most important thing which we observed in spectral element. Now, what is another important step compared to FEM? Yeah. This is one step. And now compared to FEM, so what type of polynomials are using here for interpolation? See the shape
Lagrangian polynomial.
So we used shape functions. Okay, for this shape functions, say. Okay, so we use Lagrangian polynomials. Okay, so these are the polynomials which are used in SpecFEM. Okay. Sometimes we will discuss today also. Sometimes, like we have seen, right, in the pseudospectral methods, say. In pseudospectral methods, what are the polynomials used widely? We discussed it long back in pseudospectral. Two things are used widely. What are those two? See, we discussed long back in pseudospectral method. If the problem is periodic, say, what type of things you have to use? Say? And if the problem is, not periodic, say, then what type of polynomials you have to use? Long back we have said actually one important thing also. So in pseudospectral method, you remember long
For
back.
periodic,
The
we use
Fourier
orthogonal
series.
functions.
Fourier series for aperiodic?
That Chebyshev.
Chebyshev, okay. So here also, we can use Chebyshev polynomials also in, our spectral element. So there is also one more, the method are some people, Italians, okay, some softwares are there where they also do this spectral element only, but they, instead of doing with Lagrange, they do with Chebyshev polynomials also, okay. But this is the one which is more, the popular kind of a thing nowadays, okay, Lagrangian polynomial. Now, when you do interpolation, say, okay, you require, if you want to fit, you see, a third order polynomial, say, like for example, to fit a straight line, how many points are required? Say to fit a straight line, say, how many points are required?
So 2 points.
2 points. So now you followed, right? So if you want to fit a quadratic, say, then 3 points are required. So now, where these points will be located in our spectral element. So like, for example, I want to fit a, a quadratic, okay? Quadratic, or maybe you see cubic, this way I want to fit it. A cubic polynomial, say, we assume like this, okay? So the displacements are varying as a cubic, say, inside our element. So this is one element, okay? So once I have my elements, of course, these are the, when you transform from global to local coordinate system. So this is my element -1 to 1. Now I want to use a cubic polynomial, say. So for a cubic polynomial, how many points are required? So for linear, 2 points. For quadratic, 3 points. For cubic, you require, 4 points essentially. Okay. Now among these 4 points, say 2 points are already fixed, -1 and 1. Okay. Now where these 2 points will be located in spectral element, how to choose those points? Now where these points will be located, these nodes we say. Now where these points will be located, that is the most important step in, you followed it in spectral element. What is that thing, where these points are located?
Plus minus root over 1 by 5.
No, but what are those, what is here? See, I can take these 2 points equidistant also. See, like for example, -1, I can divide this into 4, equal units. So now, these are my points also equal. So I can do in several ways actual. But in spectral elements, what do we do? What are those 1 by 5? What is that plus out of 1 by 5? What are those points?
GLL points basically.
GLL points only. That's what we're trying to say. Okay. So the points, say, which are used for integrating the function, say. So that itself, these interpolating polynomial nodes are also located actually. Okay. So this is one, so the interpolating points. So where you are, or the where the node location essentially. Okay. So the interpolating you followed, right? So the interpolating points are same as the GLL point. So this is one more important thing in this spectral element. Okay, so the number of nodes, say, let us say you want to divide this into 4 points or 5 points, say 5 nodes. So you have only one. You first of all you have this domain, say. Now you divide this domain into elements. Actually, let us say you have divided this into 3 elements. So the first element, then second element, and third element. Now you take this elements, this number one, this element. Now this elements I want to represent it into, let us say, 5 nodes actually. Okay, 5 node I want to put on the 5 nodes, say. So in this 5 nodes, the endpoints are also so where these nodes should be positioned. So if I want to put 5 nodes in this, if I want to represent this linear element in terms of 5 nodes, say, so where these nodes will be located, where these 5 nodes will be located.
So they'll be located at GLL points, sir.
GLL points only. So now you go to 5 point, that Gauss point, 5 points, 5-point rule is there, right? Yesterday I also showed you a 4-point formula, 5-point formula. So the GLL points, what happens is the end points are also included in the calculation. So obviously the end points, all other points. So now, so your node location, say, is already, you've already decided, or already it is fixed actual. Okay. So your nodal points and the integration where you are going to do this integration, so both of them are exactly same to same actual. So the main advantage of this one is, and so this is what we have set, the the Lagrange polynomial, say. So delta ij, so we have made use of all these things and the integration also. So the main advantage what we have now, so like last class we told, right, what is the greatest advantage we have seen. So if you see this mass matrix essentially, which is rho of x and v of x, which is a test function. So u double dot, say, of x dx. Okay, so this we wrote in our last class also, because the interpolating points are also the GLL points, and then integration things are also GLL points itself. So finally, like last class we already wrote this one. So j is equal to 0 to n, say. So finally, you can write this as u double dot j sigma I is equal to 0 to n, and then sigma, say, k is equal to 0 to n. So rho k, and these are the weights actually. Okay, the wk, then we have this Jacobian the matrix, the determinant or something, and finally we have this delta ij. Okay, so this we wrote as u dot j m e I j actually. Okay, so our mass matrix becomes the diagonal. This is the most the important thing in spectral this element method actually. Okay, so why our mass matrix became diagonal? So what if somebody asks you, say, so what's why did it become diagonal? What was the reason? Main reason.
Because GLL point and integral points are same.
No, GLL points are integrating points only. GLL points and interpolating also. Your nodes where they are located inside an element, say. So our nodal the points whatever you are having. So they are same as the GLL points because of the property of Lagrange polynomials. That is Li Ij, so it is equal to delta Ij. So automatically mass matrix becomes diagonal. So this is the most important thing in spectral element. So compared to finite element, all steps are same to same. No difference between SEM and APM. Only difference is one is a GLL point has come into picture. That is a quadrature rule. And another thing is your node locations inside an element, they are also taken same as GLL points. Automatically mass becomes diagonal. Okay. Now when it comes to the stiffness matrix, so what happened to our stiffness matrix in 1D? So this also we wrote, right? So do so do v by do x in the one dimensions. So mu of x, say. Then we had do ux by, say, do x into dx. Okay. So this integral also. So finally we wrote as, I think uj. So kij e we have. But stiffness matrix, say, what we observed in our last class was something like this. So I is equal to 0 to n, then j is equal to 0 to n. So mu k wk. So these are the weights of the integration. Okay, so I have this j matrix, there is a Jacobian matrix was there. Then this is a determinant of the Jacobian actual. Okay, so this is a determinant, whereas this is a matrix. Okay, So, but finally we had the derivatives of Lagrangian polynomials. You followed. So this is L dash j and then psi k. So this is how it came actual. Okay. So now so our stiffness matrix is a diagonal or non-diagonal in spectral element. See,
So
Li of
non-diagonal.
it is basically non-diagonal matrix. Okay. So the advantage is mass becomes a diagonal and stiffness becomes non-diagonal kind of a thing. So now once you have all the mass matrix and stiffness matrix say, so you can also find out the nodal the force vector also. So finally you followed, right? So my equation becomes mu double dot plus ku is equal to f of this t itself. So now I can use my central difference scheme. So to find out the displacement, so using central difference scheme dt square, then mass inverse of a mass matrix, then we had f minus ku ti, okay, plus 2 times u of ti minus u of ti minus 1. So this is our central difference scheme in time. As already I told you, no need to use central difference, you can use the Newmark, you followed it, that integration schemes are there. So if you see any structural dynamics textbooks, say, they will give you these algorithms actually, okay, the Newmark beta method, so many schemes are there, okay. So this anyway is a central difference scheme. So it looks like this. So now here the most challenging thing in, anyway in FEM or something is, so this is the most challenging thing, trying to find out inverse of a matrix actually, okay. So now in ordinary finite elements, so this matrix is non-diagonal. So automatically lot of computation efforts goes down into finding inverse of a matrix itself. But now the advantage in spectral elements, say, the main advantage is since it's a mass matrix is a diagonal. So what's the the inverse of a diagonal matrix? So if I have a matrix, say, so which is a size you say 10 0 0 10, so what will be the inverse of this type of matrices?
1 by 10.
So it will be simply you followed, right, reciprocal of that itself. So it becomes very easy to calculate. So you have a computationally very efficient. So that is why you see the spectral element method is widely preferred actually, okay, because of its computational efficiency compared to this finite element. But you have to keep in mind accuracy level is how much. Here accuracy when you do the integration, say, so these are exact only for polynomials 2n minus 3, okay, but finite element is more accurate, but you have to pay a price actually, okay. So this you have to keep it in mind. So these for the one-dimensional problem we have seen in our last class. Now suppose how do you now, like already I told you the boundary conditions, okay. So how you will incorporate in spectral element boundary conditions, okay. So like last class, since we are solving a one-dimensional problem, say, okay, so this is my beam. So I have x is equal to 0, then I have x is equal to L actual. So now I want to put a boundary condition here, boundary condition here. Suppose if it is a stress-free boundary condition, say, so already we know that integral you followed it in last class we have seen that that integral where you do with respect to the surface, okay, so automatically that goes away. So you can represent, suppose if you want to make it fixed beam, say, now so fixed at both the edges. So now how do you calculate? So this edge is also fixed, this edge is also fixed. So fixed means what will be 0? When the edges are fixed, what will be 0 at a fixed end?
Displacement will be 0.
Displacement will be 0, okay. So this will be 0 itself. So now how do you represent in finite elements? So this is spectral elements. So now what you have to do in spectral element when displacement is 0 at this node and displacement is 0 at this node, say, how do you calculate in finite element or spectral element? So you have a stiffness matrix, you have a mass matrix. What you have to do? Now what you have to do? Previously we said, right, in FEM. So if you want to fix anything, say, what is the displacement is already 0 for all times actual. So displacement at this boundary is also 0 for all the times. Now what you will do in the mass matrix and stiffness matrix?
Delete corresponding rows and columns.
Now corresponding rows and columns you followed, right? You delete it actually. That's all what you do. So the integrate. So the finally this scheme also. So if you want to write in terms of like this, so our equation becomes u ti plus 1 So we have at all the nodes. Okay. So only the first node anyway, that row column has been deleted actually, because displacement anyway is 0. Now similarly, say the last one also. So this also is 0. So we write, you see, same delta. This is M inverse. So my mass matrix also, we have deleted that corresponding those numbers. So so we will have so this kind of will be there. So, and of course this F minus K also you have 2 ng minus 1, and of course u of ti so this also you have to write. Okay, ng minus 1, so 5 plus 2 times u of ti. Okay, so you have to delete that corresponding those rows itself, and u ti minus 1 so which you followed, right, 2 ng minus 1 itself. So this is how you do for a rigid boundary also. Okay, now you can also do, suppose if you are solving a periodic problem, say. Okay, so you can do in see, like for example, you see my thing is like this, a ring actually. Now how do you will handle? See, x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L, both are you followed it, it has become like a ring actually. Now how do you will handle this type of things? Both are same. This is what we call as periodic boundary conditions. So now what you have to do? Now what do you do? Like generally these type of problems, how do you analyze in FEM? It is a periodic, so same thing is getting a followed, right? Repeated after some time actually. So what you will do? So what
by
is
integration limits.
No integration. See, you have divided this into elements. Okay, so you have nodes, linear elements only. So you have divided. But what is happening here is, when it comes to here, say both the nodes are same actually. Okay, so what you will do? What is that you have to do? No need to do anything in this type of framework. I'm just telling it as a ring, but what I'm trying to say is the same thing is getting repeated after L. So that's a periodic kind of a thing. So in this case, what you will do? So your mass matrix says, so now what these nodes are same actually. Okay, so your 1 comma 1, whatever you have, say, so you are having 1 comma 1 plus this node actually. So both of them have to be included in your calculations actually. Okay, so these how we try to do, you see, the periodic boundary conditions also in our spectral elements. Okay, so this way you can do several kind of things itself. Now when it comes to absorbing boundary conditions, say, okay, now how do you represent absorbing boundary conditions? Long back we have discussed. Okay, what are the important things in absorbing boundary conditions? You remember, right, when we discussed about finite difference, long back we discussed absorbing boundary conditions also. I told you there are two methods are there we discussed. What are those two things? Any of you remember? Paraxial was there. This was a old thing I told you. Okay, but then we have seen also, the accuracy goes down or something. What is the one which is widely used now?
Perfectly matched.
PML actual. Okay, so already we have said both of them we have discussed actual. Okay, PML means you have a region, then you followed it, you add some small region here. So here you solve a different equation. Here you solve this is your original domain, say. So in this region you solve, you assume the medium to be viscoelastic kind of a thing, and then you solve our problem itself. Okay, but in one-dimensional problems, you can do several things. See, like for example, this is absorbing boundary conditions at x is equal to 0 and at x is equal to L, say. So one way to do this is you can put dampers actual at both the ends. You followed. So these dampers can be put at both the ends, a damper. Okay, so what happened, the property of damper is whatever things comes, right, it absorbs. So we can write in terms of a boundary condition. So the stress at this boundary, okay, so this is the boundary if I denote as this type of a symbol. So rho you followed, right, T into alpha into u dot actual. So just like a damper kind of. So this also we can use. So sigma at the first node, so the first point. So this is rho of 1, alpha of 1, then u dot of 1 at the first node, and the last one say, which is at the end actually, so ng. So this becomes rho of ng, then alpha of the ng, then u dot say of ng. So this also one way to give the absorbing boundary conditions. But as already I told you, generally you followed it. This is a simpler way of doing things, but errors will be there. But the best way is you followed it. You have to go through this paraxial boundary conditions. So this is a PML, perfectly matched layer. So perfect matched layer if you want to do. So this is your beams x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L. So you have to increase the this side, so some amount you followed it to assume that there is a beam is acting here also there is a beam, but here the equations of motion will be different. They will be more or less same as viscoelastic the medium actually. So viscoelastic means damping will be there. So the metal properties and others we take several methods are the, which we have discussed long back itself. So this is also one way perfectly matched layer, but simpler thing, this also is one simple thing which people used to use previously. Okay, so this is about the spectral element in one dimension using Lagrange polynomials. Now as already I told you, there is also one more spectral elements Italian group they do with the Chebyshev polynomials. Okay, so this is also one type of spec this SCM. So there are several softwares are there that I forgot that Italian softwares are there. They do the same spectral only, but with the Chebyshev polynomials. Okay, so here the same concept is same. So the displacement, whatever you have say, we write in terms of these type of functions. So these are the nodal values. Okay, so these are the node values at your this one, and we have this polynomials. So now in the Chebyshev method say, so here in ordinary thing we use Lagrangian polynomials. But here in Chebyshev polynomial, they use this Chebyshev polynomials. So this is 2 by n. So Chebyshev k is equal to 0 to n. So we have 1 by ci bar ck bar. So notation is slightly different. Tk of psi I, tk of psi. Okay. So where this is ci bar say is 1 when I is not equal to 0 and n, and it is equal to 2 for I is equal to 0 comma n. And of course the Chebyshev polynomial we have already written previously. Okay, so tk of x cos of k times is cos inverse of x itself, or sometimes is tk of cos theta say. Okay, is a cos of k theta. So these are our Chebyshev polynomials. I think long back we have already discussed that formula you followed, right? So k plus 1 into x, they have all these recursion formulas and so many things are there. Okay, and also we have seen, so the first zeroth order polynomial say is 1. Okay, then t1 of x say is x. So like that you also will get more the polynomial Chebyshev polynomials. Now in this Chebyshev, when you are using Chebyshev polynomials say, okay, so now in this type of spectral elements, what they use, you don't use this Gauss-Lobato this Gauss-Legendre Lobato schemes, GLL quadrature. So in this type of they use the CGL scheme. So which is what they call as Chebyshev Gauss Lobato. So this is a scheme which is why used in this type of scheme, because you are using with the Chebyshev polynomials say. So everything should be taken as per this Chebyshev nodes itself. Okay, so our psi I, so the nodes of Chebyshev thing comes from this expression cos of pi I by the n, where j is I is equal to 0 up to n. So these are the nodes for the Chebyshev polynomial. And if you see compare with the GLL and this is CGL points, say Chebyshev Lobato or Gaussian Legendre Lobato. So this one will be like this. So if you take 6 point formula say, okay, or for n is equal to 5 means anyway 6 points will be there. So for this polynomial, if you try to see, Gaussian quadrature points will be of course the endpoints are included here. CGL also both the endpoints are included. Okay, plus or minus 1. Then we have other points will be that 1 by root 5. If we write everything in terms of these type of 0.6765, some 055, and the CGL say plus or minus 80. 0.809, 0.16994 like this. These are all irrational numbers. Okay, so here we have point 28 you see 5231 like that, but whereas the Chebyshev points say point 3090 16994 like that actual. Okay, so these are the nodes points. So you can see, so Gaussian legendary Lobato points are different. Chebyshev Gaussian Lobato points are entirely they are different. But if you see the numbers say, so it is a 0.76, but whereas these points are located 0.80 and these are 0.28 and 0.30. They are more or less close, but they are not exactly same itself in this Chebyshev the spectral elements also. And now if you compute the mass matrix, say substituting the Chebyshev polynomial, so you get the mass matrix like this for the same one-dimensional problem. So same things you have to derive. So rho into delta E by 2, then so delta E by 2, where is this is a length 4 by so we have n square, then Ci bar, then Cj bar itself we have. So k is equal to KL is equal to 0. So you have to do that integral for the mass matrix. So by using Chebyshev polynomials, Ck bar, Cl bar, then Tk psi I, and then Ti say psi j, and we have this integral also minus 1 to 1. So Tk of psi and then TL of psi d psi. Okay, so this is our mass matrix. So the value of this integral say, so it is available in closed form. So minus 1 to 1. So Tk at psi and then TL of psi d psi. So this is basically equal to 0, where k plus 1 it is odd number, and it is a even number, say 1 by 1 minus k plus L whole square plus 1 by 1 minus k minus L whole square. So when k plus L is even, so this is our mass matrix. Okay, and similarly you can also obtain the stiffness matrix. It is straightforward. You have to substitute in those equations. Previously we have used Lagrangian, now you have to use this Chebyshev, and you have to use all the properties. So delta E by 2, then 4 by delta E square. So if you do that all the integrals, so you get these expressions, n square, then Ci, then Cj. Okay, so k and L is equal to 0 to n. Okay, so 1 by Ck bar, then Cl bar, then Tk of psi I, and then TL of psi j. So the integration has been done with CGL points, not with GLL points. So once again Tk dash of psi, and then TL dash of psi. So for stiffness matrices, because there are derivatives are there, dou u by dou x, dou v by dou x. So you will get automatically the derivatives of this Chebyshev polynomials. Okay, so this you have to keep in mind. So now this integral also is available in closed form. That is the integral of this derivatives of psi, and then TL of dash of psi d psi. So this is equal to 0 when k plus L is odd. When it is even, say, so we have KL by 2 h. So this is a step function. Okay, so k minus L by 2. Okay, and it is a modulus. Okay, so minus step function. So we have a modulus also, k plus L by 2. Okay, so when k plus L is even. So these are the mass matrices and stiffness matrices, and of course this is not a this is not a step function. So this Hn say it is defined as 0 for n is equal to 0, and it is equal to some minus 4 sigma some complicated expressions. R is equal to 1 to n. So we have 1 by 2r minus 1 for n is equal to greater than or equal to 1. So these are the expressions, although they look complicated, but computation, MATLAB has all this Chebyshev toolbox is there. It is very easy to calculate all these integrals. So so this is fine. So stiffness matrix we have and mass matrix we have. So if you look at this mass matrix, whether it is a diagonal matrix or it is a non-diagonal matrix. Now
Non-diagonal.
It is a non-diagonal because see Lagrange polynomials property is when I write LK psi I say this type of expression. So it is basically equal to delta, IK will come. But here for Chebyshev, it is not like that. Just 1 second. Hello. So for Chebyshev polynomials, say. So now at that point, it is this property doesn't come into picture. So mass matrix becomes you followed, right? It becomes non-diagonal. So these are the main disadvantage with this Chebyshev the spectral elements. 1 second. Hello. On a class long. So this is how the Chebyshev spectral elements. So it is also one of the one which is widely used in many practice. Even there are some commercial codes are also available. I think free sources are available. But the main problem here is when you use this Chebyshev spectral elements, say your mass matrix and stiffness matrices, they are still non-diagonal. So this is one disadvantage with this Chebyshev spectral elements. So it is same as good as the finite element itself. So but this is also widely used by Italian group. I think there are some softwares also. What is that software? That I forgot. What is that software? Speed. Yes. See, one software is there. Okay. Some softwares are also available in Google. If you type, you will get this one. There are many softwares are there. So they use these type of the Chebyshev polynomials. But these are the things, and the computation also it is very more more computational things. It will take more computational time also. So whereas a Lagrangian things that is much more easier, and the Lagrangian thing is widely preferred. Okay, it is very computationally efficient tool, this one. So this is some another type of a spectrum. So now here so now and here also you how to compute the derivatives of Chebyshev polynomials, Lagrange polynomials. Now they are all available in MATLAB itself. Okay, there are several softwares are there where you can get these Lagrange polynomials and then their derivatives itself. Now here also we have to check stability, then dispersion. Okay, so here also the stability criterions have to be checked, but here also the criterions are same in finite difference we have seen. So you substitute and then you get here. So here also more or less you see the formula remains same. Okay, by the phase velocity, that is the shear wave velocity. Okay, the phase velocity we have to say. So this should your dt say should be always less than the c is our Courant number. And vs say this is the shear wave velocity. Okay, the lowest velocity, the minimum shear wave velocity. Okay, so in the medium, so this is the vs is this one, and this is our Courant number. So dt you followed, right, and dx means say. So this is a formula widely used in practice. Okay, and this Courant number is taken as something around 0.84. Okay, so with this you can find out how much dt is required, and the dt and dx, but this is only an approximate the formula. So long back we have said if you want to find out stability and all those things, what is that you have to do? Remember. So if you want to find out stability of any scheme, say, or dispersion of any scheme, what is the method we discussed long back? Any of you remember?
Compare the original equation with this.
The original equation. Now if you want to check spectral elements, say, now these equations have to be used. After doing the weak form equation, we have got this mass matrices, right? So you have to substitute this one, and then you have to derive actual. So this von Neumann the analysis we say. So this has to be done if you want to verify for this spectral element even in finite elements also. So now this way you can do it. So these are one-dimensional thing also, and I hope all of right, this connectivity matrices and other things already you would have studied in SpecFem. So you can write a small the program. Okay, there are links are there. I will send you the links itself for SpecFem 1D. Okay, so there are softwares are there. I followed. So all of you followed it. Go through this, which is written in MATLAB, and it is very easy actually. Okay, all of you can understand. So one-dimensional problems is there. So people have solved. So you please download this, and then you verify all these things itself, like how delta t, how there is stability, and how this has to be computed. So all those things will automatically you will understand it in better the fashion itself. Okay, so now let us see in 3 dimensions. No, it is straightforward only in 3D. Only difference is your shape functions and other things are going to change. So these are our equations. Okay, so dou square by dou t square. So now u is a vector. Okay, because we are having all the displacements will be there. So minus the divergence. Okay, x comma t. So these also tensor notation. So f x comma t. So in 3 dimensions. So this is also vector. So this is a tensor we are having here, and then we have a force. This is also a vector here in 3 dimensions. Okay, so if you write this in indicial notation, say, so we can write this as dou square uy by dou t square minus dou sigma ij, say, by dou xj is equal to this fi. Okay, so we write like this, or you can also write this as rho u double dot I minus sigma ij, say, comma j is equal to fi, and I runs from 1 to 3. So these are our equations of equilibrium, and of course we have the stress strain relations also. So sigma ij is Cij Kl epsilon Kl itself we have, or if you want to write in terms of displacements, so we can write this as u k comma l itself. So now in 3 dimensions, so as already I told you, all this is a finite element or spectral element. We start with weak form equations. Okay, so once again we have to solve this weak form equations. So you divide everything into domain, and then so these are our equations. So same equation, and we have to multiply everything with a test function, that is v. But now here this test function also will be, you see, a vector. So all are vectorial things itself. So v, so this is a test function which is a vector quantity. So delta dot sigma, say, so, and of course dx will be equal to v f into dx actually. So v is a test function which is arbitrary, and many cases we are taking our v as we are interpolating polynomial. It's like a Galerkin kind of approach. So now in similar fashion, say, so this term, what do we do? Previously also what we have done with this term? So what we have done previously in FEM also, FEM or even this case also. Now what do we do this term, the second term?
Surface the boundary.
So what do we do? We integrate by parts. So then you will have two things we have done in 1 dimension. So the 3D also it is very same. So this integral, say, we do this, we break into this one. So delta dot sigma dx plus we have this thing. So delta v sigma into dx. Okay, so is equal to this one v times cf dx. Okay, so this is our the expression. So this integral, say, so this is done over the boundary. Okay, so whereas these are all the ordinary integrals. So now what does this one, what happens to this thing? Suppose if the surface is free, so now what happens when you assume that stresses are zero at the boundaries? So this condition automatically it vanishes actually. Okay, so if I say that sigma this one is zero, say, so that integral automatically goes into this one. So finally our equations will be same as the previous case. So v into rho will be there. Okay, so rho v u double dot dx plus once again the same equation. Only thing they are all vectorial format. So v into f into dx. So these are our equations in the 3 dimensions. So now in 2D, say, then 2D or 3D you followed, right? As already I told you. So we use this mapping. Okay, so this mapping we use from ordinary domain to -1 to 1 actual. Okay, So that is we already defined. So if I define this mapping, say these two, the elements here, so we have defined also. So xc of psi, so this we write as, a is equal to 1 to na. Sorry, this is small na. So na of psi, and these are the nodal points. Okay, so this xc of so in 3D, say, so we have all three things will be there. So a is equal to 1 to na. So we have now the shape functions will be 3 dimensions multiplied by xe. So this is the one extra term you see we have. So now here also what we do is, we use this Lagrange polynomials or Chebyshev also. But Chebyshev, as already I told you, right, you have a problem. The mass matrix doesn't become diagonal. So we use this Lagrange polynomials itself to do this, the integration itself. So now, suppose if you take in 2 dimensions, say, suppose if you go for a 2D, let us say my element is like a quadrilateral kind of a thing. So how many nodes will be there? So this is my the 2-dimensional element, say. So now generally our reference square will be this one. So so these are our points. So -1 1 you followed, right? So we do this you followed. So this 1 and then -1 kind of a thing we have, and then 1 then -1. So now here I see, so the polynomials you say. So now how many will be there in the summation when there are 4 nodes are there in 2 dimensions? Shape functions will be so 2 dimensions. Okay, so we have n1, then n2, then we have all the n1 into n3, and then you see n4. So we use Lagrange polynomials there, this multiplication li of psi, then l naught I say of eta. Okay, so this also will be l naught of I psi, then l naught this one l11 of eta. So this is our the polynomials. Oh sorry, I think I made a mistake. So this is n2. So this is n3, this is n2. Now, so this is the one, and then n2, say. So this one will be l11 of psi, then l01 of eta, and then n4, say. So this becomes l11 of psi, and then you see l11 of the eta. So these are our shape functions actually for 2 dimensions with 4 nodes. Now suppose if I incorporate, you see the higher number of nodes, say. So like for example, my element is like this. Okay, so I have put one node here, 4 nodes are at the corners. Then I will also include one more, the nodes at the side, this place also, and then center of the element also. And now what happens? How many this one? How many nodes are there here? Yeah.
So
Now it's a
9.
2D. Total there are 9 nodes are there. So okay. And now what will be the shape functions? So now what
There will be 9
polynomials? 9 shape functions only, but what will be them? They all will be Lagrangian polynomials. So now you have to increase the order of your Lagrangian polynomials. Okay, so now it becomes all second order psi and L02 of the eta. So this is our n1. Then we have n2. So this becomes L02 of psi, and then you see L21 of the eta. Then we have n3, L12, L02 of eta. So all possible combinations you have to write. L12 of psi and L12 of the eta. Then we have n5. psi, then L22 of eta. Then we have N6. Of eta. Okay, all possible combinations you have to know. N7. Eta. Then we have this N8. Then of course the last one. Then L22 of eta. So I hope these Lagrange polynomials, right? We have already given the expressions. I hope all of you are familiar. Otherwise also we will write our Lagrange polynomials. Our notation was like this. Li, n is the order of the Lagrange polynomial. You remember? So this is n. So j is equal to 0, and of course j is not equal to I. So we wrote like this. This is our notation for Lagrange polynomials. Psi j by using psi I minus psi j. Okay, so n indicates the order of the polynomial. So when you take 2, say what does the 2 indicates? So when I write 2, so it means you are multiplying this by 2 terms will be there, because it is a quadratic kind of a thing you have. Suppose if n is 1, say like for the previous case we have written 1. So now here the order of our Lagrange polynomials is 1 1 1 1 only. So which means it is basically a straight line kind of a thing. Okay, so L cubes, third order means so the top, this one indicates the order of our Lagrangian. So like how many terms are you are multiplying. Okay, so 3 means cubic kind of a thing you have, and of course this indicates the points itself where you are doing where this the node is located. Okay, so these are the shape functions you see for 2 dimensions. Now in 3D what happens? Now for a 3 dimensions, say now how many shape functions will be there? So like for 3D, the best thing is brick element actually. So now for brick elements, how many nodes will be there? So now for this type of elements, say so now how many nodes will be there?
So 8.
8 noded actually. 1 2. So we have the nodes will be here. So now this is a 8 node element. Suppose if you want to higher order, say higher order FEM or whatever we have done, so you can even increase curved elements also. Okay, in 3 dimension, but you can use the same thing. Oh, sorry. So you can also do, you followed, right? The elements also can be like this also. So you can have more number of nodes also. So more number of nodes means the higher order the things will come into picture. So this has how many nodes? And you also put here you followed, right? This side, then this side also, and even in the center also you put one node, say then how many points will be there? So total how many nodes will be there finally if you put all the curved this one, say, and now how many will be there nodes? Here also 1, then here also you followed, right? 1, then here also how many?
27.
Total it will be 27 nodes will be there. So this is the one which they call as hexahedra and others. So sometimes of course this brick, this also they call as a brick, and this one will be there, but generally you see the notations will be like this. So now for 8 node elements, say now what will be our shape functions? Psi, then eta, then we have this one. So now what is the order of the polynomial? For 8 node element, how you will write in terms of Lagrange polynomials?
So order is 3, sir.
No, order is 3. The dimension is 3. Okay, but what now it is only 8 node element. So now for 8 node element, how we will write these things? Now, how we will write the polynomial, these shape functions? See,
The
for this
linear, so we can take linear.
no, linear means what is the notation here? See here for 2-dimensional linear elements. How did we write here? A product of. You remember what is order here?
Order is 1, sir.
So now that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now here, of course, here because it is in 3D say, so you will be having product of 3 terms, one psi, one eta, one xi also will be there. Okay, suppose if you are increasing the number of nodes say, so then you have to do, you followed it, the second order will come into picture. So more number of nodes. So now the shape functions will be, we will not write all of them, but you can try. Psi, then L naught 1 of eta, then L naught 1 of xi itself. Now you go for all other combinations like n2 say. So this one will be L11 of psi, then others will be L01 of eta, then L01 of psi. So like this, you can see how the things are coming. Like that you write. I will write the last one N8. Okay, so psi, then eta, then this one. So this becomes L11 of psi, then L11 of eta, then L11 of xi. So these how the shape functions looks like. Now suppose if you are having for a 27 nodes say. Now what will be the shape functions? Now. So you will be having 27 shape functions will be there. Okay. Now how what happens now here? Here also the product will be of 3 only. One is psi, one is eta, and then psi. But what will be the order of this Lagrange?
So order will be 2, sir.
Order will be 2. It is just you can imagine this is a straight line. Okay. So now our first straight line we are representing to through 2 points. But now in this 27 nodes, you are representing a straight line with 3 points actually. So 3 points means you can fit a quadratic only. So now these will be so L naught of 2 psi, then L naught of 2 n, then L naught of 2 say, then you see like this. So this way you can derive all the cases itself. So you can write yourself. So the 27th order, so the last one, psi, eta, and then xi say. So this will be L22 of psi, then L22 of the eta, then L22 of psi itself. So you can try all possible combinations. So you will get the 27 the shape functions actually. Okay. So this is how we write the shape functions for the higher order polynomials using this Lagrange itself. Suppose if you want to write using Chebyshev say, that also you can try, but as I already told you, right, Chebyshev means mass matrix you have some problems itself. Okay, so now you have to define the Jacobian also. Okay, so Jacobian is required when you are going from a local coordinate system to the global coordinate system. But now in 3 dimensions, say, your Jacobian will be a matrix. Okay, so x of psi by dou psi, then dou of x of psi by dou times the eta, and then dou of x of psi by dou times xi. So it becomes a full the matrix. And similarly say dou of y of psi by dou psi by dou times the eta, then dou y say. Okay, so similarly we have dou z. Of course, in the brackets it is a vector here actually. Okay, so this quantity, if you want to write it properly, it is basically dou x of psi, then eta, then this one with respect to dou psi. So this is how it has to be written. Okay, so dou z of this one by dou eta by dou psi. So this is our Jacobian matrix, because in 3 dimensions you will have a 3 by 3 Jacobian matrix also will come into picture. So determinant, all those things you have to find out, and it is a straightforward. Okay, so now once this is there, so now you have the Lagrange polynomials and you have all the shape functions say. So any scalar function in 3D, like a density say, like for example so the density everything, you see. So g of psi, where psi is a vector here, so we represent, you know, in terms of this polynomials. So I j k is equal to 0 to n. So we have, you know, so g of you see psi I, then eta j, then psi k, and we have we are just done. Then we have this product actual. Okay, so li of psi, and then lj of eta, and then you know, lk of psi. Okay, so these are our you know, all the polynomials. So sometimes this also is written as, you know, like this we write also I jk is equal to 0 to n. So we have gi jk and li of psi, lj of eta, then lk of psi also we write. So these is how we represent our you know, this Lagrange polynomials. Now here you know, there are some properties are there. What is this quantity? See, like for example, you know, so this Lagrange polynomials, you remember it, when you take, you know, psi as psi I, you know, it becomes a direct delta function, and all those properties are there. So this you have to keep it in mind. So this is basically, you see, delta ij. So all those terms also, you know, will come into picture itself. So now this is for a scalar function. Suppose if you want to write three vector functions, say. So like displacements are there. Okay, so this is at the elemental level in 3D. So this becomes you know, L is equal to 1 to 3 psi L. So this is also vector quantity. So we have sigma. So u e psi I eta j, then this k multiplied by, you know, so we have li this Lagrange polynomials will be there. This one. Okay, so finally you followed, right? You can also, this term also we write like this, this term, and then, you know, instead of ue, this one, you know, where I also write this as ijk. So this is how, you know, we represent the same functions in 3 dimensions. Okay, so depending on our this one. So now, as already I told you, so these are all collocation, you know, this psi I j k say. So these are all you follow, right? These are what we call as, you know, the collocation points. And in spectral elements, say, so we do this collocation points as same as GLL points also. So these also, you know, very important thing, you see, we do. And now you can also find out the derivatives also. So if you want to find out derivatives, say, of this displacement, okay, or if you want to find out the derivatives, you know, of these quantities, so automatically, you know, we will have the derivatives comes to this Lagrange polynomials. So if you know the derivative of a Lagrange polynomial, say, automatically, you know, you can calculate derivative of these functions itself. Okay, so this is how, you know, we try to, you know, write all the expressions. And then finally, you know, the integrations, say. So here also we do this Gaussian Lobato, you know, the same scheme. And now this is a vectors. Okay, so this integrals has to be found out over an element. So this because it is in 3D, say, so we have 3 integrals, -1 to 1, -1 to 1, -1 to 1. So we have g, this is our function, d psi, then d times eta, then d times psi itself. So this is our integral. So the same Gaussian Lobato legendary we use here also. So this you can approximate it as, you know, I j k is equal to 0 to n. So these are the weights, omega I, omega w. Okay, these are the weights of our integration scheme. Psi I, then eta j, then you know, psi of k. So these three are weights of our integrations of this GLL, you know, the quadrature. And if you want to write nicely, you know, the same expression, 0 to n, so wi, wj, then wk, gi, jk. So these integration scheme, we write see like this. So now we have to derive you see the elemental the mass matrix. And then you see the stiffness matrix in 3 dimensions. Okay, and now here then the most important thing is you see when you do this, if you want to derive this elemental the mass matrix say, so we have this integral has to be solved rho of x, then we have the test function say, which is v of x, and then we have this the acceleration. Okay, now what test function we use in this our spectral element? What is the test function we are using? See, what are the test functions we are using? See, last class we have done for 1 dimensions. Okay, what are the test functions? See, what are we using the test functions? See, in FEM, what do we use for the test functions? This is an arbitrary function, right? What is that you use for v of x? Now, you remember last class, what did we do for 1 dimensional case? What do we do for v of x? What test functions we use generally in a finite element also? These test functions are arbitrary, right? What type of functions you have to use? What functions we use? People have forgotten. It's a very important thing, right? What type of test functions we have to use? So the test function also, what do we do? You remember? Are you forgotten? No? We write the test function also. Yeah. How do we expand? So v of x is what do we do? So this also we expand in terms of same Lagrange polynomials only. Okay, so whatever we are using it, everything remains same. And finally, what did we do in the last class also? So we use the same expansion for test functions also, but this we have assumed it to be what is the value we took for the test function, the amplitude? Yeah, previous class what did we do? We took its amplitude as, you followed a unity itself. So generally in FEM also this type of procedure, what do we call? So where your test functions are nothing but your same the Lagrange polynomials itself, the basis functions itself. What do you call this type of method, the finite element?
Galerkin.
Galerkin method actually. Okay, so in spectral element also we do the same you followed it thing itself. So we take this itself as a unity, and then Li of psi I you followed it. So this we take it. Okay, so now here because it is in 3 dimensions you say. Okay, so we take the v as 1 only, but we write it in vectorial format. So delta 1i, then delta 2i, then delta 3i. So these are the components of our vector. Okay, that v. So v1 will be delta 1i. So everywhere it is 0. When I becomes 1 only, it becomes 1. Other things are all 0, 0 kind. Then 0, 1, 0, then 0, 0, 1 kind of a thing. So this is my test function actual. Okay. So which we take it same as our Galerkin kind of a thing. And the polynomials are same as our Lagrange polynomial. And the same Lagrange polynomials are also used to represent the displacements and all other quantities itself. Okay. So this way we write. So now so we have to do this the integration. Okay, that is our rho. So this has to be done. So this we transform everything to -1 to 1 or something like that. So this you can write it as -1 to 1. So -1 to 1, and then GLL quadrature and all other things. So rho psi, then eta, then we have this expression. Then we have this v vector v. So okay, so I j k is equal to 0 to n. So we have this v I j k, Li of psi, then Lj of eta, then we have Lk of psi. Okay, so this is my this function. Then we have the displacement also. So that is also L m n is equal to 0 2 capital N. So we have U double dot, say L M N, L of psi, then Lm of eta, then we have L this size here of this sorry Ln of psi. Okay, so this is our thing, and of course we have this Jacobian the matrix also. That is a transformation. So d psi, then d eta, and then you follow, right? So this is our mass matrix, the big the integral, and as already I told you, Vijk say. So this is equal to delta 1i, delta 2i, and then you say delta 3i. So now so you do this integration with respect to GLL quadrature. Okay. So now our psi and all those things say, so they become like this. So this becomes, you see, the integral goes and then it has to be replaced with a summation. So rho RST, okay. Then we have the weights WR, then WS, then WL, okay. So multiplied by, you see, so sigma Ijk is equal to 0 to n. So we have Vijk, and we have Li of psi r. So these are the Gauss points, that is the GLL points. Sorry, eta s, and then Lk say psi s. So this is the component here. Now similarly, the other one also will be same as this one, L m, and then n is equal to 0 to n. Okay, so U double dot Lmn, then Ll psi r, then Lm eta s, then Lm say of psi k, okay, multiplied by our Jacobian actual. Okay, so this integral is no more, there is integral, so now it has finally reduced to a summation here. Okay, so now you follow, right? So now here you substitute, use all this property of Vijk and other things. What happens finally? Now, so in one dimension, what did happen finally after we did all the calculations? Now what happened to mass matrix? Now what will be what type of mass matrix you will get finally here also in 3D? So we are using Lagrange polynomials, and the collocation points, GLL points, all of them are same to same. Okay, so this derivation say you can try. Finally, what happens? What is the final solution? The mass matrix should become a simply
Diagonal.
Consistent diagonal matrix.
of course, these are all consistent only. Finally, it becomes a diagonal matrix itself. Okay. So anyway, so I will stop here. So this derivation you people try. Anyway, next class, we will continue our derivation. Okay. And all of you followed, right? You please, derive with your own hands. Otherwise, then only you will understand. Otherwise, it will go this way, that way around. Because you can see so many notations are there. IJK, RST, LMN, so many things are there. So you please, derive with your own hands itself. Okay. So fine. So we'll stop here. So next class, we'll continue our discussion. So if there is any questions, you can ask.